But when you look at Silicon Valley, one of the things people don't understand is that if you are capable of building a product and a team and getting customers, if you can build any of those three, two of the three, or even one of the three, you are going to get meetings. If you can build a great product, build a great team, or get customers, any combination of those, you will go from being a bootstrapped company to a company that's a fundable company. Don't waste your time on the deck. Don't waste your time on the pitch. Don't waste your time on networking until you have a great MVP, minimum viable product, a prototype. Don't waste your time on trying to get meetings and coffee meetings with people until you've got a member or two of your team. And don't try to get the meeting with all the partners until you have a couple of customers. These meetings will take up all your time. Trying to get them will burn all your time. And you could have put that into bootstrapping and actually building the MVP of your product. Now, if your product is not bootstrappable, like you want to build a car company, well, you might need to start with a business before building a car company, because if you have no credibility, you have no track record, you don't get to be trusted with the $50 million it might take to get a car out the door, or the $150 million it takes to do drug discovery or get a medical device out there. You might need to work on a software business before that, or you might need to work for somebody else's car company or somebody else's biotech company. So again, about this being fair, if you're a nobody with no track record, put yourself in the capital allocator's shoes. Would you give them $10 million or $100 million? I hope not. I hope you wouldn't do that. That would not be wise. You need to have people who have experience, who've done it before, if you want to do those big, big projects. And if you think about it, Tesla, Elon funded with his own money that he made building a software company, Zip2. So you should know the history of these things. It's really hard to do the hardware projects. Direct to consumer or consumer packaged goods, when you look at those, they tend to not have high margins unless they're direct to consumers. And they are easy to 2x or 10x those businesses, but can you 100x them? They're a little bit harder. So you don't see too many businesses in direct to consumer or consumer packaged goods getting funding from venture capitalists. We had a little bit of a direct to consumer boom for sure with Casper, 8 Sleep, and other companies, but it's really hard. The product needs to be super differentiated. It has to be a very unique product like the Peloton maybe, or the 8 Sleep bed. Any of those kind of direct to consumer hardware businesses, physical products, they are really hard to make work. Tonal, it's just really expensive and you have to install it. That's why they have to charge subscription fees. So some businesses are just not easy to do. And now there's crowdfunding. Just a little exception here that's worth noting. Some people will, if they're building a hardware product, be able to put it on Kickstarter, be able to put it on Indiegogo and get the flywheel going with people ordering in advance because it's such a visionary company. The only thing I'll say is many of those projects fail because they undercharge. They think they should charge the people who are the early adopters less, when in fact they should charge them more. They should charge them extra for letting them be part of the excitement of building a new product, not charge them less and then underprice themselves and get into debt and not be able to deliver the product. So bootstrapping means you have to have some skills. If you don't have skills, well, you know how to get them. Just go to YouTube, take a UX class, take a no-code class, learn how to use the no-code platforms out there, Webflow, Bubble. There's a ton of them out there. You can start building your own MVPs in no code. Now, this doesn't work for every company. You think about a drug discovery company. Somebody's trying to find the cure for cancer or a medical device where they're doing some deep tech or building rocket ships. Some things are massively capital intensive. Now, bootstrapping versus fundraising, and at what point bootstrapping companies can then become funded. Now, it's important for you to understand that venture capital is not a right. Everybody doesn't get to raise venture capital. Venture capital funds a very small percentage of businesses in the world. And venture capital is impatient capital. Venture capital is looking for unrealistic growth. Some might even argue unnatural growth. Growth in the 20% a month range. If you're growing 20% a month, that means your business is doubling every 3 or 4 months. Where do you find businesses that grow this fast? Well, you only find them in the early stages, and you only find them in truly breakout companies. So why does venture capital even exist? Well, it exists because every 20, 30, 40 companies in Silicon Valley, some company actually achieves this unrealistic goal, and they pay for all the other mistakes, and I'm using air quotes in here, or failed experiments in a portfolio. So that's the dynamic of how venture capitalists look at it. Venture capital is not the only source of fundraising in the world. So take a pause and understand. Number one, you do not get to have a right to venture capital. You have no right to get venture capital. It is a competition. And the people who judge this competition are capital allocators known as venture capitalists who have to find those big winners in order to keep their jobs. That's the crazy, insane Silicon Valley methodology. I have no idea why this exists or exactly how we got here. I'll be totally honest, but it exists in the world. It is a very strange part of capitalism that this crazy venture capital even exists in the world as a category. We used to have bank loans. Maybe people raised friends and family, but or somebody had a rich uncle or an aunt, or got an inheritance, and that's how businesses were built, or people inherited businesses or inherited wealth. And now you have this weird practice of venture capital. Now, many founders ask me to invest in their company when they have an idea. We don't do that. Why don't we do that? We don't have to. There's so many people out there who've bootstrapped their company and come to us with $10,000 a month in revenue, or $1,000 a month in revenue, or $50,000 a month in revenue. And they have a couple of customers and they have a product that we can use and look at the how well it was built. And we can look at the customers, we can look at the growth, we can look at the churn rate, how customers leave the product, how they acquire customers. So you, as a founder, are in a competition. So let that sink in. This is not socialism. It's not communism. Everybody doesn't get a loaf of bread or, a certain percentage of venture capital. It is a dogged competition. It is a crazy competition. It's an unfair competition. Just accept that as the table stakes. And then you will be free to understand how you can qualify and how you can actually win that competition. Once you have that realization that it is unfair, that it is a dogged, crazy fight to get that venture capital money, then you will be free to start thinking about what are the precursors to getting venture capital, and maybe even do you want it? Because venture capital is jet fuel. You put jet fuel on a skateboard or a bicycle or a car, it's just going to explode into a fiery mess and everybody dies. Jet fuel is for rocket ships. And you have to ask yourself, is this business in fact a rocket ship, or is it a slow growth or a normal growth business? Remember, venture capital, impatient capital. Realistic growth is not what they're looking for. Venture capital is looking for unrealistic and perhaps even unhealthy growth. Growth that is going so crazy and so fast that maybe, the tires come flying off or things are messy, mistakes are made, but growth at all costs is really what venture capital is about. Now, people will argue that there's conscientious capital or people are looking for you to grow slow and steady wins the race. People might say that, but I think it's platitudes. I think in reality, venture capitalists want absurdly high growth companies in the double-digit percentage month over month. And most businesses probably grow double digits year over year. So this is a whole different pace. This is like sprinting versus jogging, right? Or walking. It's totally different. How much time and money do you spend integrating a bunch of different software products together at your company? Let me guess, way too much time. Well, Odoo is here to help. Odoo is a suite of business apps that runs your entire company on one platform. They'll streamline your workflow by bringing all of that information together. Plus, Odoo's integrations eliminate repetitive tasks and data entry. If you only need 2 or 3 apps to optimize your workflow, that's all you pay for. Odoo won't stick you with the bill for apps you don't use. Odoo has an app for every business need. They offer 30 main apps that are updated regularly and over 16,000 apps from their active open source community. You can keep your books tight with their financial software, and their sales and CRM apps will help provide a clear and organized view of your business. So here is your call to action. Your first app is free forever. And right now, Odoo is offering a $1,000 credit on your first implementation pack. That's not a joke. That's $1,000. Just go to odoo.com/twist to check it out. That's odoo.com/TWIST.